In the year 1860, I, Baron Frankenstein, was sentenced to death on the guillotine. But I have escaped the guillotine, and I shall avenge the death of my creation.
Hey guys! Today I'm going to review The Revenge of Frankenstein from 1958. Was directed by Terence Fisher, who also directed the first film, The Curse of Frankenstein, in 1957. So this is a direct sequel. It was written by Jimmy Sangster, runs about 90 minutes, and it stars Peter Cushing as Dr. Victor Stein, Francis Matthews as Dr. Hans Clive, Eunice Gayson as Margaret, Michael Gwynn as the monster, Richard Wordsworth, and Michael Ripper as Kurt. And what's interesting about this film is it was shot only 3 days after Dracula was finished. So it shows how quick Hammer Films were making films in this period. The film was also novelised 3 times. The first in 1958 by Jimmy Sangster, 1966 by John Burke, and 2013 by Sean Hudson. So this is another highly regarded film from Hammer. Another film a little bit like The Brides of Dracula that I reviewed previously, that's highly regarded, but unfortunately I've got issues with it. So once again it's another overrated early Hammer film. Problem with this film is the monster looks terrible. When you compare it to the previous film, only a year previously, The Curse of Frankenstein, it had Christopher Lee in as the creature. The makeup was incredible. But when you compare that to the monster in this film, the monster just looks like an ordinary fella with just a few stitches on the brow. That wouldn't be so bad because the same things used in Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed, where the monster's just got stitching on the brow. That film was excellent and this one's poor. So Christopher Lee's a real miss as the monster. It's a pity they couldn't reuse the creature in each of the films like Universal did. And instead Hammer were just using like the Baron in all the films, which is disappointing. So it's kind of a bit like The Brides of Dracula. I have issue with that film because Christopher Lee wasn't in it. So it just goes to show how good Christopher Lee was in these Hammer films. The film does have a good cast though, and it's also interesting how Hammer reused different actors. Richard Wordsworth was in The Quitak Experiment from 1955. Francis Matthews was also in a Hammer film, Dracula Prince of Darkness in 1966. Michael Ripper is also in this film and he's been in loads of Hammer films. Also the actress Eunice Gayson, who plays Margaret, she used to be in a couple of James Bond films. Dr. No in From Russia With Love, she played the character of Sylvia Trench, opposite Sean Connery as James Bond. Caw! I bet Sean Connery had a good gadget for her to use.
Do you? In the films?
Another interesting fact is with this film, it was only made 3 days after Dracula finished. It just goes to show how Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing must have been workaholics. The amount of films they made in the heyday, it's incredible. So this film, it's got good points and bad points. The best thing about the film is Peter Cushing's performance. He's on top form as the Baron. Fortunately, when I watch a Frankenstein film, I like to see a proper monster. And in this film, it's just like an ordinary looking bloke. So really disappointing that. Yeah, why does the bloody monster look like an ordinary bloody fella? Are we watching a bloody Frankenstein film or Dr. fucking Kildare? Another thing, this film was made in 1958. The horror's really tame. It's unfortunate because in the plot, the creature is supposedly have cannibalistic tendencies because the Baron mentions about this monkey that he experimented on, and because it went wrong, the monkey started eating meat instead of fruit. It's insinuated that this is going to happen with the monster in this film because he gets hit on the head. And you think, wow, we're going to see some cannibalism. But you're saying out. So they missed the boat. They could have shown like a few gore effects, but they shied away. It's a shame. All you say is like strangulation. You don't even say much of that. It's a real shame. You could have had like decent gory effects in this film, but they probably wouldn't do cannibalism in 1958. So they missed the boat. It could have been a brilliant film, this. Another issue I have with the film is Richard Wordsworth. His character's terrible. Like this cleaner in this hospital for Baron Frankenstein, and he's like cracking jokes and he's like laughing about them to himself, and they're really unfunny. And he's a bizarre character. He's like over the top as well. It is sort of like funny laughing at him, but he's not funny.
There's 3 men to see you, Dr. Stein. They're from the medical council.
They must wait till after surgery.
Yeah, well, they seemed impatient.
When I've finished.
You're the doctor.
Have them wait in the ward.
Hey, that bloody actor. He was soft as bloody shit in this film. There's also a really dumb plot where Frankenstein finds this fella who looks exactly like him. So he uses his body at the end of the film to transplant his brain into this body, because he gets attacked at the end. Just finding someone who looks exactly like you, that's almost impossible. So I thought that was a really dumb idea. However, when Peter Cushing does get beaten up at the end, like, the makeup looks good. I was surprised by that. That looked effective. It was also nice to see Michael Ripper. He seemed to have a little bit extra to do in this film. He's at the beginning, like robbing a grave. But overall, this film, it kind of proves my point. It's maybe just me, but I don't seem to enjoy the early Hammer films more than I do the later ones. Especially the ones more towards the 1970s. Hey! Why do these pompous bloody critics always like the worst Hammer films? Bloody Dracula, Brides of bloody Dracula. Do they watch the fuckers? It's still a decent enough film, but for me it's the weakest in the series. The monster's power just looks like an ordinary fellow with stitches. They missed the boat with the cannibalism. This film could have been really dark. And I haven't seen this film much over the years, and when I was watching it was like watching it new. So that, at least that kept me interest. And Peter Cushing's performance is spot on. However, Richard Wordsworth's performance almost ruins the film for me. But overall, although I think it's the weakest in the series, out of 10, I'd give it 6. Aww. 6 out of 10. It's still watchable. And like a lot of films in series, when you do a series of films, even the weaker ones have interesting things about them. So what did you think, Bones? Did you like it? I thought it was a load of crap, Phil. The best ones are the later Hammer films. Okay, everybody, bye. See you next time. Like, subscribe and share. Bye.
And all you can find to do is look at a lot of ants.
Well, ants is interesting. You can learn a lot from ants.
Well, you haven't learnt much.
What do you mean?
They've got more sense than to sit around all night. They get on with it.
On with what?
Oh, I'm going home.